All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It finally happened. Russell Wilson is headed to the Pittsburgh Steelers on a veteran minimum contract. Folks, you just got him for free. The Pittsburgh Steelers just got their quarterback for the short term here. He is going to elevate your team. He is going to bring in veteran leadership to your offense and your entire squad. He is going to be more efficient. He is going to be more effective. He is going to be more productive. At the end of the day, and I'm sorry to the hometown hero in KP, Kenny Pickett, with 13 touchdowns and 13 interceptions in like 14 career wins, it wasn't good enough. And now Russell Wilson comes here to Pittsburgh with the lowest of expectations. Guys, here's a crazy stat. The Pittsburgh Steelers in the last 2 years, they have 25 passing touchdowns. The Pittsburgh Steelers offense, 25 passing touchdowns in the last 2 seasons. Russell Wilson, you cannot convince me this was a bad signing. Russell Wilson last year, 26 passing touchdowns. All right, I get it. It's not crazy. It's not flashy. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Jalen Hurts or whatever. But he is the best quarterback on the roster right now as it stands. And I assume Mason Rudolph, unfortunately, will not be back now. And I actually just saw a report that Kenny Pickett probably won't even have a chance to win the starting job. We talked about this last week on the channel. If Russell Wilson signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he will be your quarterback one. No ifs, ands, or buts. I get it. You're the Pittsburgh Steelers. You want competition on all levels. That's what we heard Omar Khan said. This is what we heard the whole team say. But this is Russell Wilson, and it's not even close, all right? Welcome back to the channel. Before we get into it, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button, hitting that sub button if you haven't already. We talk a ton of NFL content every day. We talk like Steelers videos 3 times a week. Thank you guys so much for watching. If we could try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the world to me. Free agency begins technically in like 2 days. And this was something I was driving all day yesterday, and I was at the gym like 30 minutes ago, and I'm just, scrolling my phone. I'm trying to get a quick exercise in, and I see this move officially happens. I lost my mind. I had to whip it home, and now let's riff and raff about the Pittsburgh Steelers with Russell Wilson, folks. It just makes sense. Pittsburgh in this year's draft class isn't really in a position where, maybe you could draft Michael Penix, maybe you could draft Bo Nix, but none of those players feel like they would immediately elevate the Pittsburgh Steelers to Super Bowl contenders. And I'm not saying Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh is like this Tom Brady to Tampa Bay move, but he gives you a much better chance. And folks, I hate to rag on Kenny Pickett because, I've seen, now in the post-draft, now it's easy to go back and look at it and be like, why was he drafted in the first round? A lot of scouts had him as a late 3rd, early 4th round draft pick. They drafted Kenny Pickett to just kind of manage, right? To be the predecessor to Big Ben. And, at the end of the day, man, it just didn't work out. And I know Arthur Smith comes on in, and I know he had his best career game when Matt Canada was fired, and I'm sure Matt Canada was the reason for a lot of his struggles. But at the end of the day, I need a little bit more pop. I need a little bit more zip. And the 13 touchdowns to 13 interceptions, I get it, man. He hasn't even started a full season because of this year's injury and, in his rookie season, not being the full-time starter to start the season. But folks, when your starting quarterback goes down, I don't know how many times I have to say this. I don't know why it's so crazy. When your starting quarterback goes down with an injury and your backup QB, who technically was the 3rd string quarterback, right, when Mitch was done, and you bring in Mason Rudolph, and he rattles off 3 straight victories and gets your team one of the best rosters in the NFL. Folks, the Pittsburgh Steelers are undoubtedly a top 10 roster in the National Football League. They're closer to 5 than they are 10. When your starting quarterback comes back healthy and your 3rd string guy got you into the playoffs, it should not be a question of who's starting the first playoff game. The Pittsburgh Steelers have not won a playoff game in 6 years. They've lost their last 6 playoff games, all right? It's just crazy to me that the 3rd string QB, and I could use the 2nd string, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. It should not be a question. If 2 years ago, Patrick Mahomes gets injured for the last month of the season, and Chad Henne comes in here wins 4 straight games, are you going with Henny? No, you're going with Patrick Mahomes. So for that reason especially, I'm done with the Kenny Pickett era. And it seems like Pittsburgh is as well. Now, he is a very trustworthy backup QB if Russell Wilson were to go down with an injury. But, folks, Russ is going to be QB1, and it's not even going to be close. In a down season, Russell Wilson last year or 2 years ago with Nathaniel Hackett as the head coach in that disaster, let Russ cook. He's stretching. He's working out in the plane on the way to overseas, their London or Germany game. This is a completely different situation. I'm not paying Russell Wilson an arm and a leg to come play for my football team. I'm paying him practically nothing. You have nothing to lose with this move here. And if it doesn't work out, well, guess what? I still got Kenny Pickett technically. But folks, the Pittsburgh Steelers have one of the best rosters in the league. It's just crazy to me that they averaged less than 18 points per game last year. They were the 4th worst scoring offense. They were the 5th worst passing offense. Matt Canada, no Matt Canada, doesn't matter to me. They went 10-7, and that defense carried them majority of the season. They won you football games, especially early on in the year. This team is a Super Bowl level roster. And when your quarterback only has 13 touchdowns to 13 interceptions in his 2 years, you gotta cut it loose, right? You just have to. So I love Russell Wilson to the Steelers. We've been talking about it for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And it's just, I hate making hypothetical clickbait videos like that. But I'm so glad that this happened. And it's something we've just been talking about for so long. Like, folks, it just wasn't working with Kenny. And so Russell Wilson on his down season, 16 touchdowns. That's more than Kenny had in 2 years. All right. So Russell Wilson, he's going to manage these games. You're going to get 3 to 4 big time plays a game. We saw it last year with Denver. It ran so much smoother than 2 years ago with Nathaniel Hackett when Sean Payton, came on in as the official head coach. And I really like the fit of Russell Wilson with Arthur Smith, your new offensive coordinator. I've got Najee Harris. I've got Jalen Warren. I've got Pat Freiermuth. I've got Darnell Washington. I've got George Pickens. I've got Deontay Johnson. I've got an incoming slot wide receiver number 3, probably through the free agency and in the draft, whether it's like a guy like Curtis Samuel or Tyler Boyd and a draft pick. This offense is going to be more efficient. They're going to be more productive. They're going to put more points on the board, and they're going to give your team, this move gives your team an opportunity to win some playoff games and maybe make a run for it in the Super Bowl. Now, you still got to figure out the long-term quarterback. We'll deal with that when it comes. But, folks, this is as good as it gets. You didn't trade a first-round pick and a second-round pick. You didn't hand this guy a 3-year, $150 million contract. You're getting him on a freaking steal. That's it from me. Hit that like button. Hit that sub button for daily NFL videos. Most importantly, let me know your thoughts on Russell Wilson to the Pittsburgh